What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So today I want to take a look at some Pokemon products, but we're also going to go a little bit wider and look at a couple other TCGs. And I'm going to try and give my opinion on kind of the macro of TCGs right now and what's going on, and use that as evidence as to why I'm so bullish on Pokemon as a whole, and why every single day I'm becoming more bullish, even with these price increases on certain items. I just think that the conclusion I'm coming to now to explain why it's happening is valid, and every day that's becoming more clear. So we're going to jump in and look at a couple things in Pokemon first. You guys know Evolving Skies. We don't really need to touch on this too much, but this box is continuing to move up. Most recent sale, $2,700 on TCG Player, and I think on eBay, it's fairly consistently over $2,500 now. We're going to do the update on Wednesday. Paldea Evolved, I mean, this is up to $400. It's now joined the $400 club on TCG Player, which is crazy because a couple months ago, not even like early July, 370 came back down to around 350. And it's just continuing to go. I think most recent sale on the platform, we did have one at 400, but yesterday $440. I think that's the all-time high sale on Paldea Evolved at this point for a loose box. Destined Rivals, this was up to like what, 320, came back down to low 300s. We're now sitting around 330, and most recent sales are above $340 on TCG Player. And it's not just booster boxes. When we look at Pokemon Center ETBs, 151, you guys all know this is up to about $1,000 now. And out of every single item I'm going to bring up, this is the best performing one over the past 6 months, which for $1,000 item is crazy, up 117% since, what would that be, like early March, right? Obsidian Flames, fairly close behind it, sitting around $525 on TCG Player, up 71%, but realistically, this is a lot higher. It's selling for about $750-ish based on recent sales over the past week or so. Paldea Evolved is even getting fairly close to it. Again, TCG Player has it around $460, but most recent sales for this, $703, $703, $650. I think on eBay, it's fairly consistently in that 700-ish range now. Maybe there's like one or two listings below that. And there's a bunch of other things you could point to in Pokemon that have popped off over the past 6 months. Obviously, the XY era booster boxes, Sun and Moon era booster boxes, the Mega Evolutions cards, even recently, the Bubble Mew from Paldean Fates. I mean, that has just exploded again. But outside of Pokemon, there's a bunch of other things you can look at. So in Magic, obviously Final Fantasy has played a huge role in the popularity of Magic over the past couple months. But outside of Final Fantasy, which has gone from like 700 up to, I don't know, 14, 1500 at its highest, now sitting around 1300. Fallout, I mean, this collector box is going for about $1,200, and the most recent sales on the platform getting close to like 1,500, 1,400 fairly consistently there. And then also Lord of the Rings, Tales of Middle-earth, this collector's display box is up to around $2,400. That's like a 65% gain over the past 6 months. Most recent sale though, before today, was actually $2,650. So continuing to move up past like $2,500, $2,600. And if you want to look a bit deeper at all of these individual items and try and find a trend, it really is the top tier items of basically every single set, every single individual card game. So in Pokemon, it makes sense, 151, Evolving Skies, Pokemon Center ETBs that have very sought after promos that are difficult to grade. It makes sense why those are the items that are moving. In Magic, collector boxes, right? The collectible items. It makes sense why those are moving. And then in One Piece, right? Which in One Piece, I have a little bit more expertise now compared to something like Magic. So when I talk about these items, I do feel a little bit more confident in them. OP09, I mean, this is probably the best set that Bandai has released so far. It doesn't look super impressive, only up 26% over the past 6 months, but it's only been out like maybe 8 months at this point. You could have bought this box for around $130 early on this year. We're now pushing an all-time high of $200, so it's a very new set. And we also got a restock here back in early May, mid-May, on these, brought this box down to around 160. So since then, and it was a fairly sizable reprint or restock, I would say. Even up here in Canada, a lot of stores were putting out more products, so it was definitely moving. But we're, again, at an all-time high on a very new set that has a bunch of very expensive cards, including the Gold Roger manga, which is like $3,000 raw right now. EBO2, this is also at an all-time high. If you do like the 6-month chart or whatever, this is all pre-order stuff. Since release, this is the highest that it's been. And we actually saw a $200 sale yesterday on this booster box. And I think on eBay, we've seen $200 sales as well. So I think EBO2 is going to continue climbing over the next few months. It is a very sought after set. You have the Gear 2 Luffy card in there. OPL5, Awakening the New Era. Again, this graph doesn't look super impressive, but when you know a little bit about this game, back here in mid-May, there was a restock on this box. Also, a lot of Bandai stores in the US were selling this at MSRP. It brought the price down around $220. We're already back to around $255, and there are sales pushing $280. I think this box is going to be over $300 by the end of the year. And in One Piece, this is probably like a top 5 box still at this point. The Gear 5 Luffy manga, the chase card in the set is like a top 2 card. It's up there with the Gold Roger right now. You could argue which one you think is better. But outside of these 3 sets, there's 2 that have really stood out. So PRBO1, the premium booster, this is up 112% over the past year. If we do the 6-month chart, you're up about 65%. But again, that's basing this off of $394 on TCG Player. But realistically, this is going for about $420, $430 based on recent sales. Either way, you could have bought this after a release last year in October, November for around $120, $130. You're getting close to like a 400% gain if you bought at that price for PRBO1, which for a lot of people, that was a very realistic buy. Now, PRBO1, for you guys that don't know One Piece, this is probably a top 2 set. It's right up there with '09. You have all the manga card reprints, the Nami manga. You have God packs in there. So it's a very sought after set. But I'd say there's one booster box that's more sought after than PRBO1, and that is going to be Romance Dawn booster boxes, the original print wave with the blue bottoms. These are going for about $2,600 on TCG Player now consistently. If you look at the graph, it says 1900. That would give you like a 66% increase in price. But no, realistically, these are $2,500 now. And you could have been buying these back in like March, April, May for around $1,100, $1,200 all day. They were basically everywhere. But over the past month or so, these have dried up. It's very difficult to find these anymore. And I actually just did a market update video on the second channel yesterday, and we saw a Romance Dawn blue bottom box sell on eBay for $3,050. It's eclipsed $3,000. You basically could have tripled your money in the past 6 months to a year if you bought these blue bottoms. And I don't think that these are going to stop around $3,000. I think that these are fairly rare and they're going to continue climbing. But the wider point I'm trying to get at in this video is that it really is the top tier items from most of these TCGs that are moving right now, that people are trying to buy out and get a hold of. And that isn't being caused by some massive surge in popularity of these TCGs. We haven't seen One Piece, the TCG, just explode overnight, right? Same thing with Magic. Obviously, there has been growth in all of these over the past year or so. But even if we relate it back to Pokemon, it's not like the price increases we're seeing right now on SV era, Sword and Shield era, XY, Sun and Moon. This isn't coming from Pokemon Pocket still, right? Like that happened back in November, December. We saw a very large surge. But now we're seeing a surge of people choosing to buy these items and putting them away and looking at them as collectible investments. And if that's spilling over from Pokemon to other games, and obviously there always was some level of collectability in games like Magic, but I think now so more than ever, people are looking at these collector boxes as a legitimate place to put their money. And then even in One Piece, people are looking at PRBO1 as a legit investment. Same thing with the blue bottoms. And I think people are starting to give Bandai some level of respect. For the longest time, Bandai had a history of failed card games, kind of destroying them with print runs and stuff like that. But in One Piece, we haven't got reprints for premium boosters or extra boosters yet. They've been fairly conservative with what they've done with print runs, especially over the past year or so. Obviously, '02, '03, '04, those got fairly large reprints, which tanked the prices. But since then, they've been doing fairly well, and I think people just have a level of confidence in these other games at this point. And if that is continuing outside of games other than just Pokemon, I have even more confidence that Pokemon is going to continue because it is clearly the blue chip in the TCG world. It is the king. I think Pokemon is going to continue being uncontested for that #1 spot for a very long time. I don't think any other game is close to it. But point being, lots of new money is coming into Pokemon and other TCGs. They're buying up the top tier items as investments. So one, if that continues to happen, Pokemon's in a great place. But two, there is opportunity outside of just Pokemon. When we look at all of these items I brought up today, whether it's, an Evolving Skies booster box, a 151 PCETB, I don't know, the Lord of the Rings collector box, Romance Dawn blue bottom booster boxes, and I know this says like 66% because it says 1873, but realistically, these are $2,600 right now. This is probably the best return on your money you could have got over the past 6 months in almost any TCG when it comes to sealed product. And I'm sure some people are going to complain in the comments and say that I'm just shilling One Piece, but the point is, right, whether you invest in One Piece, Magic, Pokemon, Weiss Schwartz, another game like Lorcana, whatever, Gundam, really doesn't matter. There is going to be opportunity everywhere, and if you guys are willing to take the risk, you could get a reward for it. So that is all I really wanted to say in this video. Also, thank you guys so much for 10,000 subscribers. We hit it yesterday. I put a post up, but I don't think many people see the community post tab when I do decide to post something. Either way, though, I have decided to make a fairly large investment into an audio upgrade. I think it was time. I probably sound bad today just because I'm fighting off kind of like a cold or something like that, so I don't feel the best today. But I did decide to make a fairly large investment into audio equipment upgrades, so I'm going to be getting a pretty solid mic. I'm hoping that will be coming in probably the first week of September, maybe the 7th or 8th. So hopefully that will make watching the videos more enjoyable. But if you have other recommendations, obviously let me know in the comments down below. And if you guys do want to help with that investment into the channel, obviously it's at no extra cost to you, but if you are buying on eBay, TCG Player, Hobbiesville, I have affiliate links down below, free and easy to use. I get a small kickback, so it's a great way to continue supporting me, making the upgrades to the channel. With all that said, thank you so much for watching the video. I hope you guys had a great weekend. Stay safe wherever you are in the world, and I'll catch you in the next one.